This nurse got caught trying to unalive a newborn. Lucy Letby was a nurse in England in 2015 and 2016. She took the lives of 7 newborns by injecting milk, air, or insulin in their bloodstream. The hospital found out when they were suddenly getting a rise in their mortality rate in their neonatal unit. And doctors started to notice after investigating that all the newborns were under Lucy's care. In one case, she injected air in a twin boy's bloodstream and he passed away, and then tried doing it to his sister, but she survived. Police eventually searched her home and found confession notes that Lucy wrote to herself, saying things like, "I did it on purpose because I'm not good enough to take care of them." She was charged in 2020, but the trial is still ongoing. Your bed has bugs on it. This is a dust mite, and it lives on your bed. Yes, everybody's bed. Your bed can contain 100,000 to 10 million of them, and they survive by eating your dead skin. Think of them as pet vacuum cleaners. And no, you can't kill all of them, but you can keep them at a low count by vacuuming your bed from time to time. These people were drinking poop from a Jesus statue. In 2012, water began dripping from a Jesus statue in India. People every day from all over would come to drink the water, thinking it would cure their disease and send them to heaven. A man later found out that the source of the water was coming from a clogged toilet from a nearby home. Once he told the people, they did not believe him and started sending him death threats. And the church sentenced him to prison. Let's talk about this dummy who got her mom eaten by a tiger. Also guys, today we're going to be making that burger that you guys keep saying tastes good with pineapple on it. So there's this park in China called the Battling Wildlife. It's like a zoo mixed with a safari. And they have a section in the zoo where you could drive around in your car and actually see the animals, like up close and personal. The only thing is you're supposed to stay in your car. Windows up, it has to be locked. Because they have some wild animals out there like tigers and lions. Answer truthfully, what's better, hot dogs or hamburgers? Comment down below. So this beautiful family decides to go, and they decide to go on a car tour. And out of nowhere, a huge fight breaks out. Mind you, it's a father, a son, a mother, and then her mother, the grandma, in the car. Because of her stank big head attitude, she gets out the car. Why would you do that? Why would you do that? Ooh-wee. I wish I had some lettuce, but it still looks fire. Drizzle some teriyaki on that, you know what I'm saying? As soon as she got out the car with her attitude, a Siberian tiger came up behind her, grabbed her, and dragged her away. Now she kicking and screaming. She don't know what to do. That's what you get. Why did you get out the car? Her mother, of course being worried, gets out the car. Why? It's your daughter. You can make another one. She clearly an airhead. We can do this again. You can raise another. Let's taste this right here. Ooh, the bacon, cheddar. What's up, guys? Keep leaving here. I'm gonna give that a 10 out of 10. So once the mother gets out, the tiger lets go of the daughter and goes straight after the mother. Ate her. She gone. The daughter gets away, has to recover in the hospital because she was mauled really bad. Rest in peace to the mom, but you know what the daughter does as soon as she recovers? The daughter sues the zoo. And she basically wins because they settle out of court for an undisclosed amount of money. This is the dumbest lottery winner ever. His name is Michael Carroll. He was a garbage man. And when he decided to play the lottery, he actually won $10 million. You know what I can do with that money? I'm not gonna lie, the way my DoorDash be looking, I can't be trusted with $10 million either. You would think he would invest all that money, right? But sadly, he didn't. He ended up spending it on the dumbest things, y'all. I'm talking cars, mansions. And it was said that he even spent more than $2,000 a day on booger sugar, if you know what I mean. A lot of y'all keep telling me to change my pan because it can poison me. I'm only here for a good time, not a long time. But I do appreciate y'all caring about me. Woo! I just know this is about to be so good, bruh. Flip it over. Woo-wee. Before we continue, I got a question for you, and you cannot lie to me. If someone offered you $1 million right now, but told you if you take it, one random person on earth has to die, would you accept the money? I'll tell y'all my answer. Would I accept it? I'm just playing. Look how beautiful that thing is. Look at that. Ooh, ooh, look at that. That sexy thing. Woo wee. Oh man, that's just beautiful. Oh man. This is how I eat the booty. The parties he threw were insane. Look at his own mansion he destroyed. Honestly, looking at that bathroom, that's how bad I destroy my bathroom every time I use it. I'm gonna leave this recipe in the caption for y'all. So he lost all his money and had to reapply to be a garbage man once again. This is why you should always be kind to people. John Thuo was a poor kid in Kenya. To make money, they would go up to cars and beg. But one day, John went up to the car and noticed the lady had tubes and tanks attached to her. The driver was Gladys Kamande, and she needed these tanks because she had trouble breathing with her lungs. She had to travel with them everywhere. John began to cry because he didn't like that the lady was suffering, even offering to give her all the money he had that day to help her with anything she needed. People around heard John crying and came to comfort him. And that's when a picture of him crying in the story made it to Facebook. It went viral. People from all over the world started to donate to help the lady. They raised $80K, and Gladys got a trip to India where she got better treatment. Not only did her life change, but John's did too, because the lady who saw the story on Facebook decided to adopt John. He now has a loving mom, family, and goes to school. She tried to break up with him, but it didn't end so well. Kayla Hayes was 17 when she got her first boyfriend, 21-year-old Seth Fleury. After a while, Seth started becoming very controlling. Every time she would try to end things, he would bombard her with letters begging her to forgive him. After 11 months of dating, Kayla finally cut it off for good. But her mistake was taking Seth's offer to meet one last time to return some personal item. While Kayla was sitting in the car, Seth leaned in for one last goodbye kiss and viciously bit her lip off, saying that he wanted to make her look ugly. Seth received 12 years in prison, and Kayla is now happy with a new man who loves her scars. This is the universal sign if you're being abused. Please share and follow because my next story is crazy. Have you ever wondered why women live longer than men? Is it health? Is it genes? Studies show that men drink more, smoke more, and consume more illegal substances than women. They also show that men are more likely to do risky and dangerous stunts. And out of a whopping 318 Darwin Awards, 88% were men. Meaning, fellas, we're idiots. Facts you didn't know about Christmas. Christmas used to be illegal. Christmas is not Christ's birthday. 2 weeks before Christmas is the most popular time people break up. I'm single, so I don't have these problems. In the movie How the Grinch Stole Christmas, Jim Carrey was tired of sitting 3 hours in a chair for makeup. He almost quit until the producer hired a CIA expert, who then taught Jim Carrey how to endure torture. Don't drink soda on Christmas. Soda's been linked to obesity, kidney damage, and cancer, and it causes your teeth to fall out. So instead, drink Chi Forest. They have flavors like lychee, grape, and white peach. It has 0 sugar and 0 calories, and it tastes just like soda, without all the unhealthiness. Available everywhere in Woolworth and most Costco stores in AU. It can be found in the Asian food aisle. This story will really upset you. This man left his wife after accidentally setting her on fire. Courtney Walden and Mitch were married for 2 months. Starting their new life together, one day they were sitting by a campfire. The fire seemed to have been getting low, so Mitch decided to get some gasoline and throw it on the fire. But Mitch threw way too much, setting his own wife on fire. Mitch quickly called the cops and Courtney was rushed to the hospital. She had severe burns all over her face and body. She spent 50 days in the hospital and underwent 20 surgeries. But 2 weeks after getting out of the hospital, Mitch said he couldn't take it anymore and left her, leaving her with her daughter and $2 million in medical bills. Courtney said she's upset because he never even apologized, and this is what Mitch had to say.
I don't know exactly what I would be apologizing for, because it was an accident.
Courtney's neighbors pitched in to build her a house, and she is now happily living with her daughter. But it's sad to see the people you love abandon you at your worst, when they're the ones who caused that worst. Like this video and follow my page because this next story is gonna shock you. He pushed his wife off a cliff. 41-year-old Hakan Aysel and 32-year-old Simmer Aysel were happily married. Hakan decided he wanted to take his wife to a lookout on a beautiful popular spot called Butterfly Valley in southern Turkey. A tourist had captured this video of the two. Once getting to the edge of the cliff, Hakan and his wife took pictures. They were smiling and seemed like they were having a good time. He then lured her to the edge and out of nowhere pushed her. She fell 1,000 feet and lost her life. Hakan told police that she accidentally had slipped, but further investigation showed that Hakan had become the sole beneficiary to his wife's life insurance, and right after her death he had quickly claimed the money of $25,000. Not only is it sad that he took her life for money, it's sad because she was 7 months pregnant with his baby. This dog risked its life for its owner. Sky was homeless and in bad health for most of her life. That's when Franz Vanderpool adopted her and said she was the most amazing dog the family had ever had. Franz loved spearfishing and would take Sky with him from time to time. She loved the sea. However, one day while spearfishing, 2 sharks surrounded Franz and started circling him. There was no escape. Sky, seeing this, jumped into the water, taking the sharks' attention away from Franz, giving him enough time to get on the boat safely. She gave up her life to save her owners. Andrew Tate has just been arrested in Romania for a human trafficking investigation.
Wait. Oh my fucking god! Open your mouth. Open your mouth.
You won't won't believe what this evil mother did. 29-year-old Jalissa Thaler had a history of mental illness and drug abuse. She had a son named Eli Hart. The cops have visited her home 21 times in the last 10 months for crimes she committed that included stealing from a pharmacy and bizarre behavior. The father had filed for full custody to the state, but ultimately she won the custody of her son. 10 days after winning, she took him shopping, then to get pizza, and then 6 times in the back of her car. The reason why? She wanted his life insurance money. She was found with pieces of brain in her hair. The father is now suing the state, telling reporters that his son was everything to him. Madonna is being accused of child trafficking in Africa. The Ethiopian World Federation is accusing her of adopting African children and using them for trafficking, sexual exploitation, and social experiments in Malawi. Raising Malawi is Madonna's non-profit charity that she organized in 2006 that was said to help with extreme poverty amongst the local orphans and give them health and education. However, the EFW is claiming she only opened up this organization to host social experiments on vulnerable African children, referring to a book Madonna wrote called SEX in 1992 on one page where she explains in great detail of her making love to a teenage boy who is a virgin. EFW claims that Madonna's interest in religious imagery, bestiality, and vulgar lovemaking is what prompted her to open up this orphanage in Malawi. Maybe you shouldn't be looking up to these influencers. Popular influencer Gracie Piscopo's husband of 8 years, Andre, was recently charged and arrested for the alleged murder of his own mother. The body of his mother was found in her multi-million-dollar home in Perth, Australia, on May of 2020. He was caught allegedly forging life insurance documents. Police don't believe Gracie had any involvement. She has wiped her social media clean of him. He's also been charged with 5 counts of fraud. He's pleaded not guilty to the murder, but will face court later next year. Like and follow for more updates on this story. This is why you should be careful when looking for a sugar daddy. In 2019, Mackenzie Lewick was on a sugar daddy website called Seeking Arrangements that a lot of girls used on campus. She then arrived at her home airport around 2 a.m. and texted her mom, "Landed, love you mama." Instead of going home, she went to go meet Ayula Ajavi at a park, a man she met on Seeking Arrangements. But little did she know, this man was a monster. He then took her back to his home where he strangled her with a belt and buried her in the backyard. Police then saw that he was the last person who texted her. His location and hers were last seen together, so they went to his home to investigate. After they left, Ayula then tried hiding her body in a wooded area, but later admitted to it, saying that the reason he did it was because he wanted to know how it felt to unalive someone. He was sentenced to life in prison. This woman made love to 919 men in one day. This is Lisa Sparks, and she holds the world record for the most eggplants in her in 24 hours. She was competing against Candy Apple, who had the previous record of 724 men. But the crazy part is, Lisa beat that record in just 12 hours. That's about 45 seconds for each man. No one has since been able to break her record. Like and follow because my next story will blow your mind. Scary things hidden in Disney movies. Stay to the end to hear a secret. In Tangled, Slender Man is seen on the left. In the movie WALL-E, you can see Rex from Toy Story. And as you can see, he has been separated from the rest of the group and is now all alone. Also, did you ever want to watch movies and TV shows for free? All you have to do is go to the App Store and search and download Marikia. And that's all you gotta do to watch movies and TV shows for free. People are mad at this mom for this.
So Arabella decided to f with my whip shots last night and my up. So now we let her open her gifts and let's see what Santa brought her. Santa ain't bring you shit. Aww. Aww. Cause you been bad. So you're not gonna get shit. Let's see what the next one is. Since you wanna be bad, let's see what Santa brought bad kids. Let's see how Santa treat bad kids.
But let me know what you think. This woman had won $43 million on a slot machine, but the casino only wanted to give her a steak dinner instead. Katrina Bookman was playing the slot machines in New York. She had hit the jackpot and won $43 million. She got so excited, but the casino offered her a steak dinner instead, saying that there was a glitch and that she actually had only won $2.25. They then said the complimentary steak dinner is a gesture of goodwill. What would you do in this situation? Friends say she passed away from alcohol poisoning, but this just doesn't add up to me. Shanquilla Robinson and her friends went to Cabo to celebrate one of their birthdays, but only 24 hours after arriving, their friends called Robinson's mom frantically saying that she passed away from alcohol poisoning and that they couldn't find a pulse on her. But further autopsy from the Mexican FBI found that Robinson had a broken neck and her spine was cracked. Her friends all came home and privated their accounts. Now I won't show it, but this is what's driving me crazy. Now supposedly there's a video of Shanquilla in one of the Airbnb rooms naked while getting hit on multiple times by one of the friends, but not fighting her back. And the person behind the camera asking, "Why aren't you fighting back?" She simply replies that she doesn't want to.
Quilla, can you at least fight back? No. At least something? At least fight back, something?
Get up, bro, get up.
She had a heart of gold. She didn't mistreat nobody.
This whole situation angers me. And now I pass the question on to you. What do you guys think happened to Shanquilla? Like and follow for more updates on this story.
Purposes of, town hall, let's just get into, let's just get in via like,
It turns out Greta might have gotten Andrew arrested. That's because when he responded to Greta and had that Jerry's Pizza box in his video, that's all authorities needed to know he was in Romania, and they knew exactly where he was. This influencer said kids with cancer are meant to die. Legendary Leah was streaming and drinking when she started to rant and say this about kids with cancer.
Donate to St. Jude because kids have cancer, but obviously I think people should know by now. I'm gonna be honest because I was a bio major and you should listen to me, but children that have cancer are going to die and they're meant to die. I'm sorry. Children under the age of 10 get cancer is because they have something genetically wrong with them. And that just means something really, really, really awful happened during the genetic sequencing of their bodies.
Hair horror stories. Sierra Champraz was looking to change her hairstyle and, get a sew-in. She found someone who would do it for the cheap. $8 cheap. Don't go for the cheap. When getting it done, she noticed that her hair was being threaded way too tight. But she didn't say anything because she thought it was normal. So she just let it go. After a couple days, her hair started to fall out. She contacted the lady who did her hair and they were like, "Oh, you left your sew-in too long." Come on now. Her hair was being way too damaged, so she had to cut it off. And then she noticed she had really bad scars. It turns out from all the tightness, her hair was trying to grow out of one pore. Luckily, her hair is grown back now. Like this video if you want a part 2 of hair horror stories. Disgusting facts you wish you never knew. Scientists found that 72% of shopping carts have poop on their handles. Taco Bell's taco beef is only 36% beef. So what's the remaining percent? Bacteria found in poop can pass through 10 layers of toilet paper. So yeah, wash your hands.
Now all of a sudden it's a problem if you meet a man yesterday and the next day he's not offering to pay your rent. That man don't fucking know you. It's crazy though. It is crazy to me.
Flint. And if they say that you're the only girl they're talking to, that you're the only girl he calls baby cake, sweetie, honey.
I am very grateful that I've never been through these situations. But I feel like that's because I will only feel that a man cares about me and loves me until he's paying my rent. If you guys hear her in this video, if he says,
this is why you should be careful what your kids are watching on Disney+. Parents are upset because on the Disney series The Santa Clauses, on season 1, episode 3 at 25:29, the elves get told to spell "We love Santa," but one of them accidentally misspells Santa, looks down at their mistake, screams, and then fixes it. Some parents think this is just an attempt at dark humor, while other parents are saying it's subliminal and child programming. But what do you think? Like and follow because my next story is crazy. Disturbing facts you wish you never knew. Grocery stores sometimes mix food coloring in the near expiration date meat to make it look fresh. Chocolate bars have an average of 8 insect legs in each one. Scientists are working on biotechnology that can make prisoners feel like they're serving 1,000-year sentences in a matter of 8 hours. Trigger warning, this case is horrible. China Arnold had a 28-day-old baby named Paris with a man named Terrell Talley in 2005. On the 28th day, she had a huge argument with her man Terrell over the paternity of Paris. That's when Terrell had enough and stormed off to cool down. China, being highly intoxicated, looked at the 20-day-old, looked at her microwave, and did the unthinkable. For 2 minutes, Paris cooked, her insides reaching 108 degrees. China then went to Tyrell, and to his face said, if you hadn't cheated, she would still be alive. After many trials, she now serves a life sentence. Now this is something to be scared about. President Biden says we're at risk of having a nuclear Armageddon, and that it's at its highest level since the 1962 Cuban Missile Crisis. He says that Putin is not joking around and is willing to use nuclear and biological weapons because his military is underperforming right now. You have to think, if a president says this out loud and not keeping this in secret, it could mean imminent danger. I haven't even found my wife yet. Like, at least let a brother find love first. Like and follow my page for more updates on this story. School hacks your teacher doesn't want you to know. If you want to research something that's kind of complex on Wikipedia, just delete E and dot and type in simple dot, and Wikipedia will dumb it down for you. Number 2, if you're struggling to get an assignment done, or you just don't have the time, go to EduBirdie and they'll help you get it done in no time. And use this code to get 10% off. They helped me pass so many of my classes a few years ago. If your school ever blocks a website, you can put the link in Google Translate and it'll open up the website for you. Comment down below if you have any school hacks. Follow for part 2. Now this is true love. Winston Howes and Janet were inseparable. Their families would never hear them argue or fight and would ask what's their secret. They would always just smile and say it was nothing but sincere love for each other. Eventually they owned a farm and had a son together. But after 33 years of marriage, Janet suddenly died from heart failure. Winston became heartbroken and started to plant a tree every single day. His family started to become worried, thinking he might be going crazy. Day by day, seed after seed, he planted over 6,000 trees. 15 years later, a man with a hot air balloon flew over them trees and took this photo. Turns out that was Janet's favorite type of tree, and Winston hoped that one day she would see that image from heaven. Like and follow, because my next story will blow your mind. We have just gotten a suspect for the Idaho College murders. His name is Brian Koberger and he's 28 years old. He was a criminology student who studied just miles from the campus. FBI and SWAT tracked Koberger down to the Poconos Mountains in Pennsylvania. SWAT entered his location and detained him instantly. He appeared before a judge on Monday and will face criminal charges in Idaho. A motive has not been stated, but cops say this is just the beginning. But why do you think he did it? As more news develops, I'll keep you guys updated. In that trash can is his teacher. 24-year-old Colleen Ritter was a teacher who had 2 students staying after for tutoring. When she asked 14-year-old Philip Chisholm where he was from, he became visibly upset, so she changed the subject. Then while going to the bathroom, Philip followed her, pulled out a box cutter, and unalived her. He then took advantage of her, placed her in a trash can, dumped her in the woods, put a new set of clothes on, and used her credit card, taking himself to the movies and buying himself food with her money. He was later found with her underwear and cards. He was sentenced to 60 years in prison. Now supposedly when she asked him where he was from, it reminded him of his parents' divorce, triggering him. She unalived her best friend for $9 million. 18-year-old Danny Brimar from Alaska met a millionaire online named Tyler. They started talking, and Tyler had a request. He told Danny that if she unalived someone and showed him proof, that he would reward her with $9 million. Danny, wanting the money, decided she would unalive her best friend, Cynthia Hoffman. So she got some help. They tied her friend up and took her friend out with one to the head. But it turns out Tyler was actually a man named Darren from Indiana, who was actually just catfishing them the whole time. Both in the friends that helped now awaiting trial, facing up to 30 to 99 years. Did you see the secret question I hid in this video? Dumbest ways people have died. Michael Warner from Texas was an alcoholic, but couldn't consume alcohol anymore because of a throat condition he had. So he thought about another way of doing it, by using enema tubes to get drunk, which means he'd use them tubes to shove liquor up his peach. He inserted 100 fluids, which is more than 4 bottles of wine up there. His blood alcohol level was so high, he passed away from alcohol poisoning. Did you see the secret question I hid in this video?
Park here. Park here? My boyfriend, you're parked next to my boyfriend's car. It's a parking lot. I can park next to anybody I want. You're parked next to my boyfriend, though. Okay, can nobody park in a parking lot next to your boyfriend's car? Get out of my spot. This isn't... Don't park next to my boyfriend. Are you crazy? Are you insecure? Are you crazy? I know you not just say that to me. What is your problem? Get out of my parking spot. You're parked next to my boyfriend. Are you okay? Are you?
A 21-year-old woman named Yareni Rios Gonzalez was pulled over after being a suspect of road rage. She was then handcuffed and put into a patrol car. While she was waiting, the police were searching her car, but they had parked their patrol car that she was in on the train tracks. As they were searching her car for any weapons, Gonzalez saw a train coming. She screamed and tried to get out the patrol car, but she was handcuffed, and none of the cops seemed to have heard her screams or the train coming for some weird reason. Before they knew it, the train hit the patrol car. Gonzalez survived. She suffered 9 broken ribs, a fractured sternum, back and head injuries, a broken arm, and she's still in the hospital needing multiple surgeries. My question is, why did the cops park the patrol car on the train tracks? Like and follow, because my next story will shock you.
Enjoying your ramen? Well, ramen noodles don't digest. There is a stomach-turning viral video that could have you rethinking ramen noodles for dinner. An experiment by local doctors allows you to see what happens after you eat the processed food. You're inside the belly of someone who's just sucked down a package of ramen noodles. A meal college kids and people on a budget know well. Chemically preserved for a long shelf life, no one's ever seen what happens to the noodles once inside the stomach. Until now.
People just have this macabre interest in terms of what's going on in their bodies when they can't see it.
Now we can. 32 hours of video thanks to this. A smart pill, a camera the size of a multivitamin swallowed at mealtime.
What we're seeing here is a stomach contracting back and forth as it's trying to grind up the ramen noodle.
For comparison, the study subjects also ate fresh, homemade ramen noodles on a different day. Here's a look at both at 20 minutes and 2 hours. A striking difference.
The most striking thing about
He unalived his kids because he thought they were turning into monsters. Matthew Coleman was a loving dad who loved to surf and even teach his kids how to surf. He called them his little treasures and thanked God for them every day. He appeared to have the perfect life on social media. But everything took a turn one day. Matthew had driven away with the kids without telling his wife and then stabbed them to death with a spearfishing gun. He believed they were going to grow into monsters and that his wife possessed serpent DNA and that she passed it on to the children. It turns out that he became really obsessed with Illuminati conspiracy theories and said he started seeing visions that he had to save the world from monsters. If convicted, he could face the death penalty. Why do you think he started seeing visions? Like and follow, because my next story is crazy. Facts about Jeffrey Dahmer that they don't mention in the series. Jeffrey Dahmer worked at a chocolate factory at one point of his life, and in his work locker, he kept the decaying head of one of his victims. In 1990, he tried drugging another victim, but he accidentally drugged himself, and the guy stole all of his stuff from him. Police found human remains on every single utensil in Jeffrey Dahmer's apartment. Like this video and follow for part 2. His mom cut off all her daughter's hair as a punishment.
No physical discipline. Mom, don't mom me. No. You had your warning. You had your chance. I told you to listen. I told you being cute ain't shit. I told you to do good in school. Yes, this is what happens when you don't listen to your mom.
And she claims that it isn't emotional abuse and that her daughter is fine.
So cool. Do you hate me? No. Why is TikTok saying that you hate me? Yo, you guys don't know the bond me and this kid have, eh?
But comment below, what do you think? Is this okay? He had to gain 100 pounds to save his father. An 11-year-old in China named Lu Ziquan has a father that's suffering from blood cancer and requires a bone marrow transplant. But in order for him to donate his bone marrow to his father, he needed to have a body weight of at least 100 pounds. So he had to force himself to eat, and he keeps eating to save his father. The only problem is, he only had 3 months to do it. But eventually it paid off, and the bone marrow transplant was a success. Merry Christmas, everyone. Sometimes your own child can take your life. Last month, on November 21st, a 10-year-old Milwaukee boy was woken up by his mother in the morning. Her name was Quiana Mann. As he awoke, he asked his mother, could he have a virtual reality headset? But her response was no, not today. She then went downstairs to the basement to do laundry. He then went in her bedroom, grabbed a gun, went downstairs behind her, and before she could react, he shot her in the face. He then put the gun in a closet, told his 26-year-old sister, then went on his mother's laptop to her Amazon account and ordered himself the VR headset. Now the crazy part is that they had security cameras in the house, but the day of the shooting, they were all unplugged. And the night before the shooting, he had stolen the key to the gun safe. The boy had been recently going to therapy for his anger issues. His sister said after he showed no remorse, he didn't even shed a tear, only saying that he's sorry for what had to happen. Like and follow because my next story is crazy. This is why you should never let anyone kiss on your babies. Savina and her mother was at a family member's house when a family member kissed on Savina. A little while later, she started developing bumps all over her face. Her mom was concerned because she was bleeding all over her t-shirt. It turns out that their own family member had herpes. It got so bad Savina could barely eat because the pain hurt so much, causing her to become extremely dehydrated and lose a lot of weight. Luckily, Savina got treated and eventually started healing. Spread this video and follow because my next story will blow your mind. You have to stop making love in movie theaters. Sorry to let you know, but most modern theaters have cameras facing the audience. This is to help catch and deter piracy. It's also used just in case a crime occurs. So yeah, if you were thinking about getting freaky or was planning on it, Billy, who's in charge of your local theater security, probably saw you. Hope your nasties have a nice day. Studies show that your cat doesn't care about you. See, unlike cats, dogs were domesticated to hunt, protect, and travel with us, while cats were only used for pest control. So your furry friend only sees you as a slave who feeds and gives them free massages. Think of it this way. Dogs are like, wow, they feed me. They must be gods. And cats are like, wow, they feed me. I must be a god. This 33-year-old man allegedly dated a 16-year-old, and nobody said anything. Everyone knows Paul Walker, movie star and known for movies like The Fast and the Furious. But what some didn't know, or rather ignored, is he liked dating underage women. When he passed away at 40, his girlfriend at the time, Jasmine, was 23. But they started their relationship when she was 16, and he was 33. And that wasn't the only time. Before Jasmine, he dated Aubriana, who was allegedly 16 and he was 28 at the time of their relationship. And no one in Hollywood batted an eye. Did you see the secret question I hid in this video? You won't believe what this mean old man did to this waitress. Melina Salazar worked at a small cafe in Texas. She loved work, but there was one customer that everyone hated, an old man named Walter Schrood. For 16 years, he would visit and complain about everything, including the food and service. He hated the waitresses. After a while, they all started refusing to serve him, except for Melina. She knew that he was a war veteran and that he had lost his kids and his wife, and that he was living without them for a long time. But one day he just stopped coming to the cafe, and all the waitresses cheered. But Melina was worried. It turns out he had passed away. The next day, a man walked into the cafe looking for Melina. It turns out the old man had left her his house, car, and $50,000. Melina burst into tears. Turns out, even though he was mean, she was the only one that had showed him love, company, and kindness. Always remember, we're never promised tomorrow.
Hey Mom, it's Brad. Just wanted to call and let you know, I'm sure that you heard that a plane crashed into World Trade Center 1. We're fine, we're in World Trade Center 2. I'm obviously alive and well over here, but obviously a pretty scary experience. I saw a guy fall out of probably the 91st story all the way down. So, you're welcome to give a call here. I think we'll be here all day, but give me a call back later. Love you.
This case's twist will shock you. On the evening of 2014, Sarah Sands had downed 2 bottles of wine, put on a hoodie, and left her apartment carrying a knife. She then walked to a 77-year-old man's house named Michael Plested and took his life. She then walked back to her house and gave herself up to the police. But why did she do it? Turns out that man's name wasn't Michael Plested. He had legally changed it through a secret loophole in the law, which allows you to do so when applying for a new passport, because he was actually on the SO list for messing with children. And it turns out he had lured her 3 sons into his apartment, 12-year-old Bradley and the 11-year-old twins Alfie and Reese, and essayed them. In court, Sarah claimed that she will never be able to take the nightmares that happen to her boys away from them when they're screaming at night. She got 7.5 years, and now that she's out, she fights the law, campaigning to stop other offenders from changing their name through that same loophole. Did you see the secret question I hid in this video? This had to be the worst death imaginable. This was the entrance to the Nutty Putty Cave in Utah. It was known for its extremely narrow passageways, having a length of approximately 1,355 feet, and it was about 145 feet deep. A lot of thrill seekers would go through this narrow cave, but one man met his fate. That man's name was John Edward Jones, who was recently married and a father of 1, his wife being pregnant with their 2nd child. John was a kind soul. Everybody loved him. He had a bright sense of humor, and he took care of his daughter. He loved her very much. But sadly, he wouldn't get the chance to see his daughter grow up. At 8 p.m. on November 24, 2009, John and 9 of his friends decided to go enter the Nutty Putty Cave. Everything was going smooth for roughly an hour. They had made it so far in the cave, and they could have stopped. But John wanted to up the challenge, and tried going through a really narrow section called the birth canal. Unfortunately for him, he decided to be the first one out of the group to go. But it turns out he might have not entered the birth canal, but instead he accidentally entered a section of the cave called Ed's Push, a passageway that led to nowhere. But he kept pushing forward, inch by inch, until he couldn't go anymore. He had gotten stuck on part of the tunnel that was bent downward, leading him to be upside down. The area was about the size of an opening of a small washing machine. While John was about 6 feet and 200 pounds, John was stuck. He was 100 feet below the ground. His friends tried and tried, but they couldn't get him out. As much as John tried to wiggle, nothing happened. He couldn't budge. Every time the friends thought they were getting him out, he just slid in more. A rescue team was soon called in, and when they finally reached John, he said, "Thank you, but I would really like to get out of here." As the rescuers were able to see John's feet, they tried everything from oiling and lubing up the walls. They even tried drilling through the rock and hooking him up to contraptions to try and tug him out, and still nothing. At one point, they were able to pull him back up several feet, but the rope broke and he slid right back down. After 10 hours of suffering and being stuck upside down, John sadly died. Leaving behind his wife and kids, they had no choice but to seal up the passageway with John's body still stuck inside till this day. There's a memorial now sitting there for him, and that's not all. His wife has since moved on to a new man, but she will always remember the man who she shares 2 children with. Rest in peace, John. I was this police officer following this man. Walter Carr and his mother had moved to Alabama after their house was destroyed by Hurricane Katrina. Walter wanted to work to help his mom, so he finally found work at Bell House, but it was 20 miles away. He had an old car, but the next day it broke down. His map said it would take 7 hours to walk to his job, and he really needed the money, so he decided to walk. Halfway through, he was done, tired, sweaty, and his knees was hurting. He also noticed the cop was following him. The officer asked what he was doing out so late. Walter explained, and the cop drove him the rest of the way. When they arrived at the house that Walter was supposed to move the furniture at, the lady was moved by his story. She started a GoFundMe on Facebook and raised $30,000. The CEO also heard about the story and gave Walter his car. Never give up, even when it seems like you're at your bottom. These might be the dumbest criminals ever. On January 8th, 21-year-old Dorian Gaines and 22-year-old Dylan Thompson were looking to make some quick cash. So they found a random truck and thought they hit the jackpot when they found $5,000 in cash, a laptop, and an iPad. These all belonged to an older man named Andy Schaefer. Being the idiots they are, they went 2 miles up the road to a Burger King and started taking pictures and videos of the money and the laptop. They then took a trip across the street to a nearby Starbucks to connect to the Wi-Fi so they could upload the videos to YouTube and Facebook. A friend on their Facebook page even telling them to chill and that they needed to deactivate their Facebook page because it's probably hot right now. A little while later on his way to work, Andy discovered his truck was broken into and his stuff was stolen. So he logged into iCloud and lo and behold, the pictures that they took was uploaded there as well. He immediately called the police and the 2 were arrested. Like and follow because part 2 is crazy. These are 4 things you should get your gym boyfriend for Christmas. 1, a water bottle with a shake in it. I don't know what that motion was. You can literally never have enough bottles to make protein shakes. Number 2, his favorite pre-workout. Trust me, ladies, he will love you. Number 3, a gym t-shirt or a sweatshirt. He's gonna need some extra sweatshirts anyway because you've been stealing them all winter. Number 4, some Chief Forest. You know he has a sweet tooth, but he don't want to drink soda. It's gonna ruin his gains. Get him some Chief Forest. 0 sugar, calories, and fat. It tastes just like soda. And they got all types of flavors like grape, lychee, and peach. It's available in every Woolworth and most of the Costco stores in the AU. It can be found in the Asian food aisle, so cop some. Sometimes humans actually surprise me. An orca stopped a yacht and would not leave it alone. When the tourists realized that the whale seemed to be asking for help, they quickly reached out to it and tried calming it down while calling an animal rescue team. Once the team arrived, they noticed there was a group of baby orca acting erratic and seemed to be trying to lead them somewhere, so they didn't let up and followed the calves. As they got closer, they realized an adult orca had its tail tangled in a fishing net. Turns out the youngsters were trying to get some help to save their mother. The rescue team quickly went to work, and the mother was calm and cooperative the whole time. It seemed that she knew they were trying to help. Once the mother was free, she let out a loud cry as to say thank you to the rescuers, and then came back with food as a gift for them. This case's twist will shock you. In February 2008, 9-year-old Shannon Matthews was reported missing by her mother, Karen. She was last seen outside of her school. Within hours of her disappearance, a massive police search began, with over 250 police officers and 60 detectives on the hunt. Everyone in the town even helped search for Shannon. Her mother even went on TV begging people to help her find her daughter alive. The Sun newspaper offered $60,000 to anyone who had details on her whereabouts. 24 days later, police had finally found Shannon alive. For 24 days, she was locked in a base of a bed owned by Michael Donovan, her mom's boyfriend's uncle. It turns out Karen had came up with this plan to collect the reward money after her daughter's safe return. Shannon was found traumatized. They had been giving her substances to sedate her while being locked under the bed for all those weeks. Did you see the secret question I hid in the video? People are mad at this guy for kicking out this girl for questioning him on coming home late.
Damn keys in! Give me my keys! Can I be scared dang go? Give me his dang on jacket! Yeah. Oh, you wrong for that shit! You wrong! What did you do? Give me my thing! Oh, you're not doing this! Give me my keys! Give my up! Give my keys! How you gonna do this to your baby? Cause I'm questioning you about coming in late? You got a problem cause I'm questioning you? I'm taking care of you. Give me my keys back! Man, you better give me my keys back! Oh, this mother...
But whose side are you on, his or hers? Creepy facts you wish you never knew. When you buy rice, you're supposed to soak it because they contain rice weevils that most of you have been eating and never knew. Studies show that people who stay up late and get up late are more likely to become psychopaths. Heartbreak is a real thing known as heartbreak syndrome, and it has symptoms similar to a heart attack, meaning some people pass away from a broken heart. Lack of sleep actually shrinks your brain. This dog saved its owner's life. Haley Moore was walking her dog when all of a sudden she experienced a seizure and collapsed on the floor. Clover immediately started licking her face in hopes to wake her up. After a car drove past them, Clover had an idea. She ran into the middle of the street to block traffic in order to get attention from one of the drivers. Finally, a white pickup truck came by and immediately started to help Haley. He called 911 and brought her to the hospital. And Haley made a full recovery, Clover being a true hero. Speaking of, let me tell you about the dumbest ways people have actually died. By the way, I'm with my son Milo, so yeah, he's gonna tell the story with me. A Brazilian man in 2002 saw a beehive, and this idiot decided, instead of calling pest control, I'll try to do it myself. So what does he do? He grabs a freaking flamethrower! A flamethrower for some bees! That kinda adds up. I mean, I would probably do the same. But that's not even what killed him. He put a plastic bag over his head as a helmet and forgot to add breathing holes. His wife found him a couple hours later, unalived underneath the beehive. But no, that's not the craziest. Y'all gonna laugh at this one. Why do people always try to keep wild animals as pets? By the way, are you a cat person or a dog person? Comment down below. So this guy had a pet hippo that he was raising for 6 years, and he would tell people that it was like a human. It was like a son to him. Tell me why this hippo ended up biting holes in this man like he was Swiss cheese. And the crazy part is, he would like to ride this hippo to show off. Stick to dogs. All they do is poop on your pillow like Amber Heard and sleep all day in your apartment like they work hard and pay bills. Now this last one might make you think that karma is real. You see that fine girl right there? Should I get her number? I should get a number. So Michael Goodwin was a convicted murderer and had just avoided the electric chair because his attorney got his sentence reduced to life in prison. A few days later, he was in his cell repairing his headphones that were attached to his TV. Hold up, y'all. I'm about to go into the grocery store because tomorrow we are making a pineapple burger for tomorrow's video. But I'm gonna need y'all to watch Milo real quick. I'll be right back, cutie.
Finally, the annoying man left.
So we got the stuff, watch tomorrow's video, it's gonna be lit. So he was in the cell room repairing headphones, but his headphones were still hooked up to the TV, and he was sitting on his prison toilet made of metal. He decided to bite into the headphones wire, giving himself his own electric chair. Angelina Jolie hired a hitman on herself. When speaking about her mental health, she said that being taken out by a hitman would be easier for her family rather than doing it to herself. When coming up with the plan and actually hiring the hitman in New York, he stopped her for a second and talked her out of it, asking her to wait at least 2 months before making her final decision. She listened, and luckily, a month later, she decided not to go through with it. People are mad at this guy for dating this woman. Shauna is a 23-year-old woman trapped in an 8-year-old's body. She had trouble finding love because of her condition until she found Dan. The two fell in love with each other and started dating, but the internet started labeling Dan as a creep for dating someone who resembles a child, saying that it's sick that he's dating her. Sadly, this became too much for Dan, and then he ended things, choosing to just be friends instead. Comment below your thoughts on all this. This teacher only got 60 days in jail after taking advantage of her student. 32-year-old Marco Baldine was an English teacher in Texas. That's where she met her victim, a 12-year-old boy who she started talking to over Fortnite, and then soon texting him, having explicit conversations. After his 13th birthday, they did it. And this continued for 3 years, sometimes even in her classroom. She even moved into his apartment complex to be closer to him after her divorce. The boy soon reported it to authorities, and Marka didn't like this. She threatened him that she would unalive herself, and that he'd never go to college, and told him he would go to jail. After finally pleading guilty, she was given 60 days in jail, and only has to write the victim an apology letter. But she doesn't have to do the 60 days for a year because she has just given birth. Speaking of school, if you're having trouble right now and need an assignment done, go to edubirdie.com. They'll help you get it done in no time with also getting you a good grade. Use code 10, INFLU10 to get 10% off. They helped me pass a lot of my classes a few years ago. The person who sent you just wants you to stop waking them up. Studies show that being disturbed while sleep can cause irreversible brain damage. Mice who were tested and sleep deprived lost 25% of their brain cells. And getting less than 6 hours of sleep causes weight gain. Studies show that people who were sleep deprived ate more the next day. So leave people alone when they're sleeping. And that's why this is the dating game killer. Luckily, the girl that won the date with him decided not to go because backstage she said he had creepy vibes. Her instincts were right. You see, Rodney Alcala was already on the FBI's most wanted list. He pressured a little girl named Tally Shapiro into his car and brutally attacked her in an inch of her life in LA. But he ended up only serving 34 months because the child's parents didn't want her testifying in court. Little did the FBI know he had killed the girl prior while he was attending NYU in her New York apartment. Right after serving the 34 months, he was arrested right after for 2 years for selling marijuana to a teen that he also abducted, but was never charged with the abduction. Feeling on top of the world, he decided to go on a game show. Somebody watching this game show noticed that he looked awfully familiar to a wanted criminal who killed a girl named Robin Samso. Police investigated and found Robin's earrings in his storage garage, along with photos of women that he had taken over the years. It's believed based on those photos that he killed over 100 women. Rodney died in prison in 2021 at the age of 77. This TikToker revealed that her dad unalived himself because she got married to a black man. What's up, everybody? Promise y'all updates. Andrew Tate is being detained and questioned for money laundering, not human trafficking. The news outlets got it wrong. But anyways, follow this page for more updates. I'll keep y'all posted, I promise. Your cat would eat you if it could, and it shows signs of that every day. Domestic cats share traits with the African lion, meaning they are naturally dominant predators. Why do you think they're always randomly attacking you? Studies say that cats do not see us as mom and dad, but see us as other bigger hairless cats. And that we're lucky that they're small and have smaller teeth and claws. Or we'd probably all end up dead. Did I mention that a lady who owned 20 cats died this year and her body was eaten by them? This is why you should be careful what you eat. In 1990, Joe Matheny opened up a burger stand. It became very popular, but what many didn't know is that they were eating burgers made out of humans. See, Joe had a rough childhood, and as an adult, him and his wife were addicted to that white rock. One day his wife left him with their baby and ran away with her pimp. This made Joe angry. That night, he searched under a bridge looking for his wife and her pimp because he wanted to end their lives. But when he couldn't find them, he decided to take his anger out on other dope heads and homeless people around the area. That night, he unalived 5 people in 7 hours. He was finally caught and blamed for 2 of those murders, but he only spent 18 months in jail because of the lack of evidence. Once he got out, he realized he had an addiction for unaliving people, this time taking his victims' meat and opening up a burger stand. When he eventually ran out of meat, he went on another spree to get more, but eventually one of his victims got away, and he was caught and police arrested him. When talking to the cop, he said he would sell pork rolls and human meat mixed together all the time, saying if you season them just right, they both taste the same. People are mad at Tom Brady for posting this picture with his son. Now in the picture you can see his son sitting poolside in his lap, and some people believe that this is inappropriate and a teen shouldn't be sitting in their dad's lap like this. But what do you think about this situation? Do you think people are overreacting, or? She ate her sugar daddy. 23-year-old Omaima Nelson was a successful model living in Los Angeles. She had met and married a man named Bill Nelson in 1991, who she met at a bar. During their relationship, she was subjected to all sorts of abuse, physical, sexual, Bill even taking advantage of her without her permission some nights. That's when one day she snapped and took Bill's life with a knife. She then took him apart piece by piece, cooking and boiling every bit of him, even barbecuing his ribs. She then put on red lipstick, a red dress, and a hat and dined on him, as if it were a fancy dinner. she received a life in prison. Did you see the secret question I hid in the video? Scary videos that'll keep you up at night. One night, a woman was heard screaming, "Help me, somebody help me," in a car that was speeding down the neighborhood. This was the footage caught on someone's doorbell camera. This woman has not been identified yet, but witnesses say they saw her earlier getting her hair pulled by someone in the car. This woman was hearing weird noises in her house, so she decided to FaceTime and call her friend. That's when a weird figure was seen behind her.
Try like Salvation Army first and see what I can find, you know. I went and bought DK. Is there somebody in your house with you? No, why? Why?
These are the chilling last moments of a woman that was unalived by her husband in Brazil. He finally catches her, unalives her, and sadly threw her off the balcony. Her husband passed away 9 years ago, so why did she see him in a recent commercial this month? Lucy Watson was on Facebook this month when she saw a promotion for a local restaurant in her area called Spice Cottage. In the promo, she saw a detailed face of her husband eating with what looks like her stepson that she lost contact with when her husband passed away. When she contacted the restaurant to ask when the video was made, the restaurant said they had just filmed it last week, showing her the new chairs in the video that they ordered a few days before filming. But her husband had passed away in 2014. In the video, he's seen eating his favorite meal, chicken karma, and has the exact same shirt on he has in this photo. A bizarre mystery, indeed. Did you see the secret question I hid in this video? This woman is evil. Viktor Jelinski tried to rob a hair salon in Russia, but when he ran in demanding the money, the woman overpowered him and knocked him half unconscious. That's when one of the women, Olga, tied him up, took off all of his clothes, force-fed him performance medication, and forcefully used him for 3 days. Once released, Victor ran straight to the police, and Victor and the woman was arrested. He got catfished and wanted to take her life. Brian Hyle was talking to a swimsuit model online for 2 years, but it turns out that model he thought he was talking to was actually a man in South Africa, catfishing him. Brian was so butthurt when he found out, he decided to find who the real model was. When he discovered it was Tiffany Watkins, he made a plan to take her and her boyfriend's life. His family then discovered his plans and told the police just in time, because they found Brian a few kilometers outside the model's house. He was sentenced to 5 years but was released in 2013 and was last sighted in Fremont, Michigan. Let's talk about skinwalkers. They are said to be powerful witches and medicine men. They can even change their form to any animal they desire, including humans, but they mainly change into deer, wolves, and coyote. You know, dragon fruit ain't that good. The scary part is they say if you see one, they can steal your face and even your last scream for help. You might think this is like a folklore or tale. People actually believe these are real. The scary part is there's actual videos of people seeing oddly walking humans screaming help in the middle of nowhere. See, they say skinwalkers pretend to be humans in distress, and if they're calling out for help, they're just trying to lure you in.
Ashley.
That's when they take your life and use your voice and your look to catch their next gullible victim. A man's wife wasn't even home, but yet somebody was calling him to come downstairs in his wife's voice. If you want me to go out in the middle of the field, at least shapeshift into like Rihanna or Beyonce. I'm making a mess, but this look good. I'll be there in a minute. 30 seconds flat. Naked. Very naked. Maybe even Lizzo. Let's light this candle.